Hey, let's start the show.
It's October 2nd, 2014. Welcome to This Is Only Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Welcome to... Oh, hi, I'm Will.
Yep.
Everything's off. My game's off. With me, as always, is not Norman Chan.
I am not Norman Chan.
Welcome to the show, Jeremy Williams. We're glad to have you here. Norm is on location today.
At a secret location?
I don't know if it's secret or not. He's in Los Angeles at a thing talking to people about stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. So I don't think I should get any more clear than that. But he'll be back next week, and he'll be back on Still Untitled on Tuesday when we post Still Untitled. So it's still around.
Good.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm okay.
This has been kind of a weird news week. There's been a lot of stuff going on, but I heard you just read something that I finished reading for like the second time the other day.
What are you talking about?
The Martian.
Oh, the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You guys mentioned it. Am I loud? I feel like No, I feel like I'm hot. Like
I don't think so. I think you sound okay.
You mentioned it with Adam. I guess Adam read it on the plane to Australia.
Yeah.
And I already owned it, but I didn't know anything about it. It was just suggested to me by Audible, so it was in my list. And so as soon as you guys talked about it, I was like, "Well, this sounds great." So I queued it up, and I haven't been able to press stop.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal chunk of book.
Yeah, it's surprisingly funny.
Oh,
you know,
it's super fun. I mean, you think it. So if you don't listen to their podcast, I'll give you the nickel rundown on the setup. The setup is it's the third Mars mission. We've been to Mars 3 times with people. This is the point at which the public stops being interested. Like it stops being a thing where everybody watches on TV to see what happens, and it becomes like, oh yeah, we're on Mars again. That's great, whatever. Yeah. So a few days into what is supposed to be, I think, a month-long mission. Is that right? A disaster strikes, and through no fault of anyone's, basically, one guy gets left behind.
Yes.
And the book opens with, well, I guess I'm pretty much fucked. Like that's the opening line. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't waste any time.
No.
Chapter 1 is full steam ahead.
Oh, if you read chapter 1 and don't want to continue reading that book, right, there's something wrong with you probably.
Yeah, or at least you know what you're in for at that point.
Yeah, it's every bit as much. Did you read Wool ever?
No.
So Wool is the same kind of like first chapter is unbelievably strong. It's like super hard page turner from that point forward. This is the same kind of experience. And it basically, the neat thing about the book that I didn't realize that Adam told us after he talked to Chris Hadfield, he apparently when he was in Australia, he bumped into Chris Hadfield because that's the thing that happens to normal people.
They were staying in the same hotel.
Yeah.
So he texted him.
Yeah. And then he called him on the room line, which I haven't used a hotel room phone in years. Anyway, Chris Hadfield said super accurate. Like when he did the research for this, he got access to all sorts of NASA white papers and did some hardcore serious research about how you would do this.
Knowing that that Chris Hadfield signs off on this book, on the authenticity of it, it improves the book for me because I have wondered from time to time, now how well researched is that? But then I remember that Chris said that.
Plausible.
Yeah. I mean, it's really phenomenal. The lead character is supposed to be a botanist and an electrical engineer. And at one point, I thought he made a mistake because he talks about having to make this breaker, this fuse, and he lays out these 3 fuses in parallel. And I said, well, that should be in series.
You know this.
Right.
This is Unix.
Exactly. But so I went and looked it up, and absolutely I was wrong. It should be in parallel. And so, I mean, the book is just one bit of trivia or, engineering after another that's just really, really well researched. It's awesome.
So, highly recommended. We're going to post finally a spoiler cast. We're doing our first book spoiler cast. Adam listened to the audiobook, which he said was really lovely, well acted by.
Oh, you read it?
I read it. I read paper. Well, I read electronic paper.
No, I love the audiobook, and as Adam said, it is told largely in the first person, so it lends itself to that.
But it's not like a full cast. It's just one guy doing voices, right?
He does the best voices, though.
That's what Adam said.
I mean, he does this guy who's Hindi, one of the characters, and it's just spot on. It sounds like a different person. It's a great book. audiobook on audio.
Very cool. So that'll be on Tuesday. So if you haven't had a chance to read it, it's a super fast read. I think the Kindle told me I read it in like 5 or 6 hours.
Wow.
When I second pass, obviously. The audiobook is 10 hours long. So it's Thursday. Show's going up on Tuesday. You have time still to make this happen.
That's like the Battlestar Galactica challenge. It's leaving Netflix. And
it is?
If you started watching it like on Sunday night, you could have finished it before it left on October 1st. But I guess
it's gone now.
By now it's gone.
My window's closed.
Yeah, sorry. I shouldn't even have mentioned it.
And I only watched up to the middle of the 3rd season, and then I got bored and started doing other things.
Like everyone else.
But it's never going to... It's like that time Mr. T was at the mall, and I said, I'll go later in the afternoon. And when I went, he wasn't there. Maybe that was Homer Simpson.
It's exactly like that, Will.
Big news this week on the Microsoft Windows front.
Yeah.
Microsoft had an event in San Francisco yesterday, I guess. Was it yesterday or the day before? It seems like I can't remember now.
I would have said day before, but
day before sounds right. Where they announced the next version of Windows 10.
Obviously, it's 9.
Nope. 10. Okay. If I thought they were going to break the number scheme for Windows, I would have said, "Oh, hey, they're probably going to go with Windows 1."
Yeah,
because that makes sense.
Xbox One.
Yeah. Fits their current. This is the one thing you need: Windows 1, Xbox One, phone.
It's like it's a reboot.
Yeah, we're starting all over. Shit's real now,
right? So why 10?
It's a nice round number. It's binary. It could be 10, which would make this Windows 2.
It's parity with Apple.
Yeah, it is parity with Apple. I don't think they care about that officially.
I'm just saying OS 10 and OS 10.
I don't think anybody cares about that at this point. I mean, it's OS 10.10. We're on 10 versions of OS 10 now. That's ridiculous too, for entirely other reasons. The speculation that was from, I'm going to air quote this for audio listeners, a Microsoft internal source who posted anonymously on Reddit said, yeah, we looked at the rumor, the scuttlebutt around Microsoft. This is like, so just to be clear, scuttlebutt from somebody who's unconfirmed from inside Microsoft. It's not a reliable source at all. Thing they said is that when you search third-party applications that are checking for Windows 95 and 98 to be not compatible with them, the search string that the apps use is generally Windows space 9. So theoretically, if they had called the OS Windows 9, Windows space 9, all of those applications that were using a search for Windows space 9 in the ID string would fail the compatibility check. Which seems crazy. But,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, if that's one of their many reasons, I'd buy it.
It's a nice round number.
Yeah. So, you didn't watch the stream?
They didn't stream it.
The rebroadcast.
They rebroadcast yesterday, and the last 24 hours have been somewhat.
It's not
packed.
very long. It's like 40 minutes.
So I'll watch it after the podcast, and I'd probably make a ton of mistakes along the way because I read a bunch of summaries of it, but haven't actually seen the stream. I did install the developer preview is out now. You can download it, put it on your own computer if you want.
It's early. They're talking about releasing the OS in a year.
I mean,
is that typical for them?
So typically the last 2 releases for Windows 7 and Windows 8, I think they released a preview at CES and then released the OS 9 months later.
I think this is further out than that.
Are they saying September, like fall of next year or spring? I assume this would be coming out in the spring of next year.
No.
Really?
According to their presentation, they were talking about now they're going to bring it on the road to show it to their enterprise customers. And then later next year, in the spring, then they'll start to talk more about the consumer features. And they're talking about a release, fall next year.
So it seems like a lot of the concern is that there was only a 18% update rate for Windows PCs to Windows to run Windows 8. Like of all the PCs out there, only 18% of them are running Windows 8 now. And that's despite making it available at a lower cost than ever before. Because remember when Windows 8 first came out, you could get it for $40, which was a crazy price, an upgrade for $40, which was a crazy price for Windows.
I just got robbed then.
How much did you just pay?
$120.
Well, that's what it costs. That's what they charge now.
Yeah.
It was a limited time offer. It's good for like 3 or 4 months.
Bummer.
it seems like addressing the concerns of all the people that complained about stuff that was janky or broken or just inconsistent or new with Windows 8 is a lot of the concern. They're bringing back the start menu. I actually, the new start menu is in the technical preview that they released yesterday. Mm-hmm. And
have you installed it?
I installed it. I put it on a Surface Pro 2 or Pro 1. I can't remember which one, but it, fine. Either of those should be more than capable. The start menu is not enabled by default. You have to go into the taskbar properties and go to the start menu tab and flip it on.
So by default, start button brings up Metro like 8?
Start screen like Windows 8. Okay. Yeah. Performance seems good. Like there's a couple of the things that they showed during the presentation, like the new design for the My Computer window, where you have like favorites at the top and hard drives in the middle, and then like all your cloud sources theoretically at the bottom or something. I don't know exactly what that was. That stuff's all there.
Yeah.
But
I assume it's the same build that they showed demonstrate live.
Sometimes they do that and sometimes they don't. Like for Windows 7, when they first rolled out the technical previews of Windows 7, they didn't. Okay, so you know what? You're right. They had for Windows. I can't remember which one it was. It was before the Surface, so must have been for Windows 7. When they rolled out Windows 7, they gave out builds at Microsoft's Build Conference, which was late summer, early fall in Anaheim, I guess. I was there. It was when Tested was new, so it was either 2010 or 2011, and that was well before Windows 7. Before it was more than a year in advance. It was about a year in advance.
There it is.
So there you go.
So in the demo that they showed, one thing I liked is that you can resize the actual start menu now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to have more recently used apps,
more tiles.
Yeah. And now they've added these like Metro style tiles to the start menu.
Which I spent maybe 20 minutes with it last night. But from what I've seen so far, I actually quite like that. That seems pretty good.
It's a good compromise. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't object to the tiles. I just object to, I'm plugging this in. There we go, from the side. I don't object to the tiles. I don't like the time that it takes that start screen to pop. Like that's the thing that annoys me.
Well,
is when
is
you
it
hit
an
this,
animation? What do you mean?
You've not used Windows 8 yet, huh?
No, I have.
Oh, so when you hit the start button and you need to go drill down to that list of apps, it's hit the button, the start screen pops up, click down into the full list of apps.
Oh yeah, you mean an 8? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean an 8. Yeah. Like having the stuff that I use most frequently either nailed to the taskbar or then the most next frequently stuff on that screen.
Yeah.
seems like a really good compromise, and it doesn't take it away from directly in front of me. Like it doesn't shift the entire screen to something else and then shift the entire screen back.
Right, I love
which
that.
is the thing that I always like. That just seems ill-advised to me.
Me too. When I saw the start menu come up, it looks like an old thing now.
Yeah.
But I was so relieved to see that back because I having lived on 7 for so long, I'm so comfortable with it. Well, I like the all programs menu even because sometimes you can find the uninstall app in there for specific apps, and having the text box come right up when you hit the window button.
Well, that's always happened. That happens. Actually, you're right. That's slow with Windows 8.
Yeah.
Or 8.1, it's better. With 8, it was slow because you hit the button and it would take a minute to load that slide in modal dialog from the right. The Metro apps, which are now called modern apps, which are now called something else, are they're doing the stuff that they showed at Build earlier this year, where those will run in Windows on the desktop. So instead of having like an entirely separate two separate metaphors for apps, the start screen and the desktop, now you can make those apps presumably full screen, just like you would before, but you can also run them in a window on the desktop, just like a normal application. So if you have a big, huge monitor or a laptop with a crazy high resolution monitor, you can have tons of windows open and have the benefit of that. Because like that was always at the core. The complaint I had with Windows 8 was that they were trying to shoehorn this thing that's great for small, low resolution screens into devices that have, not being able to drag things from one window to the next. So much of the stuff that was built into Windows 8 was designed to work around not being able to drag things from one window to the next. All the charms and all that stuff, which seem like they're going to stay in Windows 10, were workarounds for, oh wait, no, I can't just click on this, hold it down, drag it over, and put it in the other window.
Yeah, it does seem very friendly for larger monitors.
Yeah.
For, 27 inches. And what do you have?
I have a 30-inch, but a 2K horizontal resolution.
I think you're really going to love it because I don't know how often you use the snap
all the
function
time,
where you can fill one perfect half of your monitor. I use that all the time. You can hold down the Windows key and hit left and right on your arrows. And
it's super useful.
perfect. Well, now you can do a quad, so you can snap into a corner.
Ooh, that's awesome.
And so you instantly snap exactly 1/4 of your screen for an app.
Well, so I have a vertical, portrait-oriented 24-inch monitor to the right of my big monitor that I use for that I'll snap a whole window in sometimes, whether it's a preview window for a video I'm editing or a photo I'm working on, photos I'm working on, stuff like that. Or if it's just like a big, huge wall of text, I'll put it over there, and then I can scroll on that screen and have the other window just going.
Yeah.
So it's the snapping stuff is my favorite thing from. I think that came with Windows 7. I can't even remember now.
Sounds right. Also, copy and paste from the command prompt. Yes. I know it sounds unholy.
So I don't have to right click on the little icon in the top left and go down to edit and then paste anymore?
Right. And you don't have to do mark, like right clicking the command prompt and mark and then highlight.
Wow, mark that weird square of text.
So now you'll do Control V, Control C straight from the command
These are some real,
it is the future.
Yeah, 2001 features maybe here. That's crazy. It's funny, after using OS X a lot, you miss one of the things I miss is having all the Unix-like commands on the terminal. Like I find I use the terminal a lot to shell into SSH into servers and stuff like that, and having PuTTY is great. I use it all the time on my Windows machine. It's just one step further removed from having a base level client for that stuff on the desktop. And it's funny because Windows NT used to have like Telnet and FTP and all that stuff clients on the command line.
Does it anymore?
No.
There's no FTP?
I think you can probably install it. It's probably in like additional stuff you can install, but it's not on by default.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of batch file stuff for work, and sometimes when I jump into a command prompt on Windows, I start typing ls or something because I'm so used to the OS X terminal.
Well, the bash terminal really.
Bash terminal.
It is, let's see what else. Developers. So Microsoft has, since the dawn of Windows 8, been talking about writing apps one place and making them available on tablet, PC, and phone. While that was true in some limited cases before, it seems like that's true in many more cases going forward, because they'll actually be the same OS, same platform. So you may have to create a different view or a different kind of
I would hope so.
layout for the phone versus the tablet versus a real PC. But it seems like that stuff will be better. I'm still not super convinced that I want a unified UI across all the things that I use. Like I don't. If that makes things easier, it's great. But if it's just unified so that I have the same icons. Like I don't want the same icons on my phone as I have on my desktop PC.
You're happy going through a period of unfamiliarity for a better user experience.
It's not even that. It's that like I don't buy multi-tools in the shop. I don't buy a one wrench that works with 55 sizes of bolts because those are less good than having the appropriate bolt for the 55 sizes.
Yes.
Right? You're going to round out the bolts if you use those things for long enough, or you buy cheap bolts, right? Like it's kind of the same thing. I'd rather have a tool. Like I want the stuff on my home screen of my phone that I use on my phone, and I want the stuff on the home screen of my desktop that I use on my desktop. And if those two things, like it's great if they share a common language, if they're obviously connected in important ways, but they don't have to look the same.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of my, like I'm totally game. If they look the same and they work great, then that's terrific. But making them the same for the sake of making them the same rather than making them the same for making them good seems, a little weird. I
agree with you. It seems like maybe there's a disconnect between what's good for developers and what's good for users. Because if they're trying to tell developers that they can develop an app and it'll sort of run your same assets on any device,
that's true.
Then that might be an incentive for them, but it doesn't work out that well.
Well, I mean, if they actually deliver that this time, because again, this is something they've been promising for a couple of years now in different forms, usually with an asterisk attached. The write one app, run it everywhere. Like if that actually works, then that's good for developers, but it's also good for users because it means that people will theoretically build apps that you can now run on the Windows desktop that people will actually use that will also carry over to the phone, which means that my Windows Phone experience, if I want to switch to Windows Phone, the barrier to entry in terms of, hey, I don't have a good Twitter client is reduced dramatically, presumably. I don't know. It's a big logical leap. I know Microsoft is hoping that they can convert massive desktop installed base into massive phone and tablet installed base, but I guess It
seems like the real magic to that kind of compatibility is on the back end, though. Look at Google Docs or something has a completely different UI on phones as it does on the desktop.
Yeah, much crappier UI on phones than it does on the desktop, for what it's worth. And the other name contender I saw for this was Windows 365. And that they would just move it to a subscription service. So you pay $20 a year for Windows. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah. But I mean, because they have the Office 365 and the Live 365, all that stuff. 365 is an established brand for them. So they have 3 different numbers going now. I don't even know what to think.
Now, did I read that Windows 8 users will get this for free? Or is that just an unsubstantiated rumor?
I think that was an unsubstantiated rumor. I did not see that.
All right.
I can't imagine that they're going to release a numbered version and make it free. In fact, actually, from the stuff that I saw during the live blogs, I was stuck in traffic when the stream started. It seemed like people were. I wasn't driving, just for the record. It seemed like people they led with, "Hey, OSs cost money. We're going to keep charging for this thing." Maybe Surface owners get it free. I don't know, because then Microsoft has hardware stake. But if you buy an HP or Dell or build your own computer, I can't imagine they're going to give you a free OS. Not in their business, not in their interest.
Yeah.
They made a big deal about enterprise stuff. I know that's kind of less interesting to us, but I know having the start menu back will be interesting.
Well, that's what they still have.
Yeah,
they have enterprise still.
Well, they have.
I don't know, man. Consumers. I don't know anyone who's buying PCs except for hardcore PC.
Well, so here's the thing. Chromebooks are eating into the low-end laptop market, right? Pretty hardcore. I see people actually using Chromebooks now, which I never would have thought 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems like they found a model. The hardware that fits into that price range is much better now than it was when netbooks were a thing.
That's probably real true.
Screens are bigger. They're much more usable laptops. But also, most people only browse the web. Mm-hmm. So if you have the web browser, you have a couple of apps that you need, you have something that can crop a photo, that's an amazing thing for $250. It's cheaper than a tablet. It's cheaper than So I don't know. I think that.
But to finish your point, I mean, and this was I only see people buying the high-end laptops. They're all Macs.
Well, I mean, if you're going to spend more than $1,500 on a laptop and you don't buy something with it's either the high-end Samsung laptop, the high-end Lenovo laptop, or a Mac.
Yeah.
Right.
So who's buying the Windows stuff?
I used to think it was in the sub $1,000 range, but I think that's being there's still 500. If you shouldn't spend more than $500 on a Chromebook. I don't think. Right.
Right.
So you have that $500 to $1,000 range before the first MacBook Airs come in. So that's still Windows territory, right? And then you have Ultrabooks for people who don't want a Mac for whatever reason, which is fine. I mean, having to buy applications again if you're invested in an ecosystem or whatever,
right?
That's fine. But interestingly, the rise of the subscription model for stuff like Adobe has made it easier for people to go back and forth. I have the same version of CC that I'm subscribed to on my Mac laptop and my desktop PC at home, and I go back and forth between them interchangeably now. So I don't know. It's real weird. I don't know what their laptop market is, and that's where most of the business is.
Yep.
It's where most of the industry is. So that and enterprise. And enterprise seems like they don't buy new OSs because a lot of them are still running XP, which is crazy.
I mean, I was perfectly happy on 7. I wouldn't have upgraded from 7 if I didn't think I needed to, which was for a hardware incompatibility.
You just built a new PC.
I built a new PC, and they had USB 3 slots on them, and Windows 8's USB 3
works
better.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I think that's about it on the Windows 10 front. We're going to do a video early next week and kind of show you the stuff that's changed after we've used it a little bit more. I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction for Microsoft. I think breaking down that wall between Metro and desktop apps is
definitely
the only way that works.
It feels like it does feel like a step back.
Yeah,
but it's the right step in terms of what I want to see from my OS.
I don't. The thing that they weren't going to get happen was for people to go whole hog into Metro apps, and if they aren't going to do that, then they need to make those work with what Like if they had released this OS first and then done the, hey, we're leaning into Metro apps, people would have probably been okay with it.
Yep.
I'm also interested to see if you'll be able to buy traditional desktop apps in the Microsoft store.
That'd be interesting.
Like buy, just to be clear, I know you can go to the store and buy them now, and then it'll send you a download link, and you have to click on the exe and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What I mean is App Store style, click and it installs and handles all the management and all that stuff for you, transactions, license keys, all of that.
I would almost guarantee that.
I would have thought they would have done that with Windows 8, but they were pushing the modern stuff, so they didn't. I don't know. Microsoft's sometimes a weird beast. So
under new leadership.
Yeah, I mean, definitely under new leadership. Netflix announced a bunch of exclusive content this week. There's a Crouching Tiger sequel, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, one of my favorite Eastern, I guess it was Eastern-made movies that was wildly popular in the U.S.
Won Best Picture, didn't it?
No, it's nominated, though, I think.
Oh, okay. Ang Lee.
He's not directing the sequel, I don't think. I think it's going to be Yoon Woo Ping directing the sequel, but I'm not sure.
Lots of wire foo again.
That might not even be right either. I'm going to look that up and fact check the podcast. I would hope so.
Interesting movie to choose for a sequel.
I mean, I don't know whether I guess the sequel. What's the sequel about?
I don't know.
Because spoilers, dies at the end. I think. Let's see. Here we go. The interesting thing about it is it's going to be released in IMAX 3D, or at least IMAX, and Netflix simultaneously. AMC theater chain has already said we're not going to show it in our theaters. Pound Sand, Netflix, and Crouching Tiger.
Interesting.
They're boycotting because they obviously Regal, Cinemark are in the same boat.
Now, is this a Netflix production?
Netflix is producing it with the Weinstein Company.
Okay. So they're bankrolling it as if it was Kevin Spacey's show.
I assume so. Yeah. It's going to be released on August 25th, 2015.
They've never done film before, right?
No, I think they're trying new stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who's directing it though. Anyway, so that's happening. They announced a 4-picture deal with Adam Sandler, exclusive. Adam Sandler also 4 pictures, man. I mean, that's like 2 years worth for Adam Sandler.
Yeah, but I mean, boy, I hope he's on his game.
I mean, how much money do you think Adam Sandler movies have made at the box office? All of them.
I have no idea.
Give me a ballpark.
I'm going to say all of them together, 200 million. Is that crazy?
Yeah, it's real low.
Is it?
He's made like 30 movies. He's made a lot of movies.
Yeah, but they're not all great.
They all make money.
There's only a few that are great.
The first two. Yeah. Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore.
Right.
Both great. The boy, the one with the kid, pretty funny in places.
Which one was that? I like the Paul Thomas Anderson one.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That probably made no money.
Yeah, it probably made
was free.
20 million. I don't know. What? 500 million.
$4 billion.
$4 billion?
$3.9 billion.
What?
Yes. 3.9 billion with a B dollars.
Wow.
Now, take a minute, reflect on your accomplishments over your life. Think about the guy who made The Water Boy, and then balance those scales against $4 billion.
Adam was in the right place at the right time, and I wasn't. He's also got.
He's a funny guy. He was a funny guy for 4 years, and then his brand of humor expired for lots of people and didn't for everyone else.
Yeah,
is all I can figure.
I don't know, man. Good for them.
It is Yoon Woo Ping is the director of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the Green Legend. And then this morning, Netflix announced that they're doing some kids cartoons.
Just the one.
Just the one so far?
Yeah, I mean, I got kids, and they're always looking for good new material, and I liked House of Cards. So if the guys who are making House of Cards are going to make a kids show.
Oh, man, can you imagine an animated House of Cards for kids?
So the kids show hopefully will have nothing to do with strangling dogs, but this is a King Kong spinoff of some kind.
Okay.
And it's due out in 2 years.
So is it going to be Grape Ape making cameo appearances and stuff like that?
Hopefully better.
Donkey Kong shows up?
God, 2 years, my kids are going to be much older.
They're going to be not old enough. My kid will be old enough for cartoons.
Yeah, prime time.
Not so much. Orange is the New Black, the animated version. I would watch that. That sounds pretty good. So that's Netflix. PayPal spinning off from eBay. Is this confirmed now? There were rumors about this a few months ago, right?
Yeah, I guess Carl Icahn suggested it a few months ago, and they said they weren't going to do it. And now they're going to do it. So PayPal is going to become its own entity and publicly held. So you'll be able to invest in PayPal. Were you able to do that before? Were they public before eBay bought them? I don't even remember.
eBay bought them for a ton of money in the infancy of the internet. Like it was a long, long time ago.
Which made perfect sense.
And I thought that I don't think they were publicly held.
Okay. Well, so you'll be able to invest in PayPal now. And they'll be able to, make their own goals and presumably, compete with Apple and Square.
Yeah. So eBay bought PayPal.
They all lost their lives.
Oh God.
There's a woman talking.
What? I went to CNET, and now video is just playing. It was in 1.5. It was $1.5 billion in 2002. So there you go.
Wow, that's a lot. $2,002.
I don't like going to websites and having audio just start playing. That really makes me angry.
Yeah, that's old school. They shouldn't do that.
So that's why you get ad blocked CNET.
So eBay's stock went up 7%, I think, based on this news.
That seems like a good deal.
People like it.
So PayPal, like I have a real mixed relationship with PayPal. They have.
They all lost their lives because of preventable medical errors.
Oh, is it me?
That's you.
That's so funny.
I
Where's
thought that was
coming
me.
from?
I don't know. Just mute your computer.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
California prop
I'm so
ads.
sorry.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
me the
It's
whole
okay.
time.
I thought it was me. I thought I was going crazy. I apologize, CNET. I'm not going to ad block you. You guys are cool. So anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm responding to an IM because I'm ruining the podcast now. Yeah, PayPal. I don't.
You have a weird relationship.
Yeah, like I use them. I never have ever given them access to my bank account because I feel like that's a really great way.
Really?
Like they have a credit card on file for me, and then I have a separate like burner checking account that anything I sell on eBay goes into.
Okay.
But I don't have like my real checking account. Like basically that PayPal checking account is slush funds. It's like money I can buy stupid shit on eBay with.
Huh. Yeah.
And I don't.
So you treat it as its own account.
I treat it as its own account. I don't hook it.
Balance.
I don't even hook it. Like that account isn't even hooked up to my other account, so I can wire transfer anything in. Yeah. Because I'm worried. I actually I don't know why I don't do that. That would be dumb. But I worry that if my PayPal gets hacked, I have no recourse like I do if my credit card gets stolen or hacked or even my checking card in some cases.
Yeah.
So like I worry, and I think I have 2-factor set up on PayPal now. So I guess it's a little bit, I feel like it's a little safer. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like they have a history because of their relationship with eBay of just siding with one side or the other in eBay disputes, usually the buyer.
Yeah.
So like I don't want them to have access to be able to pull money out with reckless abandon. Like a few years ago, somebody sent my email address PayPal money the wrong way. I never clicked it, never did anything. It showed up in my account. I looked at my account, I was like, wait, there's $600 here that shouldn't be here. Called them. And they were like, oh yeah, you're right. We're taking it back. But I had already spent $150 of the $600 on something else because I did, you didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know. So then I had to like basically deposit $150 into the PayPal account because of their error. It all ended up like everything ended up right. But the fact that I can have money end up in my account without having any acknowledgement or doing anything to make that happen concerns me. I mean, I guess it would be nice. Maybe it should happen more often. I shouldn't have called.
You gave away $600.
Yeah, my bad.
As somebody who's sold things online, you live on PayPal. I mean, PayPal is what everybody has. Now, lots of people want to pay with a credit card. That's great. Some people have Amazon, but by and large, more than 50% of people just want PayPal.
Just type in that password and go.
Because you don't have to set up a new account with me.
That's true.
You don't have to give me your credit card, or I don't even store them, but no one knows that.
Right.
And so PayPal is just like automatic. So
I use Amazon payments and Google Checkout for that stuff without thinking about it. But PayPal, for whatever reason, I'm a little skittish on. Okay. But I have the credit. Like I said, the credit card's hooked up to it. So, I can spend away. Did you see the 3D printed Metroid armor?
Yeah. That's incredible.
So
did she have that made? Or did she print that herself?
No, she printed it herself.
Parts?
She's been working on it for ages.
What printer did she use? Do you know?
There's a thread in the RPF about it, but I saw it on her WordPress blog, which is Talaya, TALAAYA.wordpress.com, and it looks like the concept art from like Metroid 1 or Super Metroid. It's absolutely astounding, and I think she printed individual pieces.
It really does look like a cartoon in the real world.
It really does.
Beautiful colors.
The blog shows how she did the whole process. You can go back weeks and months, and then she printed the outer facing pieces. It seemed like, and put Bondo on them to give them the finish that she wanted. And then sanded a ton, I'm sure. But it is absolutely stunning armor. I hope I see it at a con in person at some point in the future, because it is. If it looks this good in person, she's done some outstanding work. So again, the blog, if you want to check that out, it's Talaya, TALAAYA.wordpress.com. I tweeted it the other day, but I'm going to put it on the site tomorrow unless Norm beats me to it. Verizon killed their 4G throttling plan. Remember, we talked about that. You might not have been here, but they were planning to throttle high volume 4G wireless users, LTE users.
Yes.
Like top 5%.
Yeah.
There was a massive outcry. Maybe it's against the terms of their deal with the FCC. It's unclear. So they're not going to do it now, they're saying.
Okay.
So that means hog bandwidth away, you bastards.
That's you, right?
No. I don't use a ton of bandwidth.
No, but you're Verizon.
I'm a respectable user, though. I'm respectful.
So I'm one of the grandfathered. I'm still grandfathered AT&T on.
Wow, you're still coasting on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't be more than one of 10 people.
Can you FaceTime?
Yeah.
Do they let you FaceTime over cell now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they start throttling you.
Can you? You can't hotspot though, right?
I don't think I can hotspot.
Okay.
And the worst is, you mean create my own mobile hotspot? Yeah,
create your own wire.
That I cannot do. Okay. That is the main thing I want from the mobile share plans.
That is an unbelievably useful thing.
Yeah, especially if you travel, right?
Yeah. Or even if you're just out with an iPad or a laptop a lot. Yeah. Because like the thing I find is that the hotspot on my LTE phone is better than Starbucks Wi-Fi about 90% of the time.
So AT&T did this 3-day, bonus marathon where if you called in during this last 3 days of last month, you could get double the data rates for the old prices.
The cap.
Yeah. Sorry, the cap. So if you got the
should have done that
15 gigabyte plan, you got the 30 gigabytes. You can get up to 100 gigabytes a month. But I don't use that much.
Yeah, I was gonna say how much. Like the most I've ever used, Gina and I combined, is like 4 gigs.
No, really? Yeah. No, we're up to we've peaked at 6.5 gigs in the past 3 months.
Huh.
But
I haven't looked since we got the new phones.
But even that the least expensive of those plans, the 15 that would be 30 gigabytes, was I would end up paying $30 more a month than I'm paying right now on my grandfather plan. So can't do it. I still get capped after 5 gigabytes.
See, mine
not capped, but
slowed.
Throttled.
Yeah. Mine ended up being a little bit cheaper, at least at first, and now they've kind of jacked up the rates a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
So. That's such is the way of getting reamed by the faceless multinational.
Well, but I'm glad if you go crazy, you're going to be okay now. You won't be throttled.
Get billed.
You won't be throttled.
Yeah, that's true. Tesla teased something. Elon posted a picture of what looks like the grill of a Model S.
It looks like a grill of a new Tesla car.
People did some analysis on the internet.
No,
they're saying it looks like a Model S.
No.
There's a garage door that's the garage door is open just above the headlights, right?
Yeah. And
there's a big D on the garage door. Yep. And the quote was, "Time to unveil the D."
Yep. And something else.
It's unclear whether the D is a new model car. That seems kind of unlikely to me, since we know the Model X is coming, and then the Model not E3. The
low cost sedan.
The low cost sedan. Thank you. I was trying to figure out what the category was called.
Yeah.
The Taurus is what it is. Basically,
has that been given a letter?
I think they said it was the 3.
Oh, that's right.
Because they couldn't call it the Model E because they didn't want to have their cars spell SEX.
Right.
And also, I think the Model E is a trademark of Ford, probably.
Okay. So this would be strange for them to announce a third unreleased car.
Yeah, especially if they're going to call it the D.
Okay.
I mean, who knows? Maybe it's a pickup truck.
Okay.
With a Model S front grille.
Right.
That would be crazy.
I want a motorcycle.
God, an electric motorcycle?
Yeah.
You would die.
A light cycle.
Have you, I mean, motorcycles already accelerate scary.
Yeah.
If you had a motorcycle that accelerated like a blender.
Not to mention you couldn't hear it coming.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be the scariest thing in the world. You would have, all of the throttle logic would have to be toward not having you accelerate that thing so hard that you get just thrown off the back.
That's right.
Yeah.
But boy, that would be a fun vehicle.
It would be the best 3 seconds of your life.
I wonder what it is.
So there's some speculation that it's maybe like a cruise, like a safety, like cruise lane steering thing.
What's that mean?
Like a sensor package that lets the car, keep you from killing yourself if you do something dumb, like drift out of your lane or
like an option for Model S. What do you mean?
I think they already have the lane stuff, don't they? Or no?
I don't know.
I've intentionally not gone out and priced Model S's because that's one step closer to accidentally buying one. Yeah. I'm not in the market for that kind of expensive car.
There's a lot of room between the base price and the fully tricked out price.
Well,
about $50,000.
Yeah, and the base price, it seems like the only way to get the good battery, I have priced it out, I lied. The only way to get the good battery is to get the tricked out $50,000 one, right? So, yeah, I'm not, anyway. So potentially a collision avoidance thing or some sort of safety thing. Yeah. Who knows? We don't know.
An integrated garage door opener, because that's the picture.
What if it's an elevator so you can put one for your garage, so they'll come and dig a hole out and they'll put a supercharger in the basement and then the cars will raise up and down.
Oh, that would
So you can fit 2 cars in a 1-car garage.
Yep.
That's a terrible idea. I don't know. Next week. It's next week they're going to unveil this, Elon.
Yeah. What is it? The Parasada show or something?
Yeah. And Elon apologized for making a dick joke. Kind of. He thought it was funny. They didn't realize that he was making a dick joke. I feel like that guy does his own tweets.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a lot of CEOs, probably there's some PR person that's writing the tweets and they're like, yeah, okay, that's good. Check mark.
Right.
I feel like Elon's sitting there on his iPhone tapping that in himself.
Yeah, I would
maybe his Android phone. Apple is maybe bringing the camera roll back to iOS 8. I didn't realize that I had confusion about this until you said they were maybe bringing the camera roll back to iOS 8. And I was like, wait, you're right. I take pictures on my phone and they don't show up on my iPad automatically anymore. I missed that. That was a good feature.
Well, that was different. That, as far as I know, that was not your camera roll. That was your photo stream. The My Photo stream, where all of your photos from every device would feed into this photo stream at the last 1,000 at least, or the last 30 days, whichever, was less space.
Fair enough.
And then that's how you would share your photos between devices.
All I know is that I used to have all my iPhone pictures on my iPad and all my iPad pictures on my iPhone.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen anymore unless I manually do something.
And you went into iCloud and you turned on the setting that says share my photos between devices, but it's still not doing it. Now,
absolutely.
Did you do it on the iPad?
I'm going to look right now. I might not have. In which case I would be the jerk, wouldn't I?
Well, we're not going to call you that.
Optimize iPad storage, iCloud photo library beta. Oh, I'm on the beta there. Let's turn that off.
That could be it right there.
But I have my photo stream automatically upload new photos and send them to all your iCloud devices when connected to Wi-Fi, and iCloud photo sharing. Create albums to share with other people or subscribe to other. Yeah, there's no reason this isn't happening.
But if you use the iCloud Drive or whatever that thing at the top was, maybe that was the confusion point. Maybe all your photos were going to a different spot.
That's an interesting concept. It's possible.
Yeah, it's confusing. I guess people miss the camera roll and they're going to bring it back, perhaps.
I thought the camera roll was a pretty good feature back in the day, the old days.
It is a confusing app now. I mean, there's
the separation between what is it? Photos shared and albums.
Yeah, photos and albums. I don't understand the distinction there.
It seems like all the collection stuff that they put in photos should just be another view on albums.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to test this out again. I'm going to take another picture here. Take a picture of Jeremy Williams right now. We're doing live testing on the podcast. Always good. Okay, let's see if that ends up in my photo stream over here, whatever it's called now. So people are confused and not getting their photos where they want them, and they're thinking about bringing it back. That's the takeaway.
That's what I gathered from the headline.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other part of this is that there's a Photos app that presumably is going to release iPhotos and maybe even Aperture.
Now, wait a minute. You mean on the OS 10?
On the OS 10 side.
Right.
Because right now, the way you get that stuff is by going into iPhoto, and it doesn't really work. It seems to be a little janky with the new iCloud stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no good, it used to be just idiot proof. Like you opened up iPhoto and there all your pictures were.
They weren't ready with iCloud Photo Drive.
You don't say.
And it's not even released yet. It's like in beta on the phone.
Yeah.
You can't even download Yosemite yet. All this stuff should have been in parity before they released it.
Well, so Gruber had a post on Daring Fireball the other day about this, where he basically, because I said something in our iPhone quick look, our iPhone in depth the other day that I realized, like, I had just gotten used to, which is that when a new iPhone comes out, until that 0.1 release, you can expect some jank. Like the iPhone 5S crashed all the fucking time at launch.
Yeah.
It was unreliable. I mean, it wasn't unreliable, but it crashed. It crashed much more than I had ever experienced any previous iPhone.
5S?
The 5S.
So that would have been with the iOS 7.
It was the jump to 64-bit, presumably.
And the new OS.
But it's always the jump to the new OS.
Yeah.
So like the 4 and the 4S were fine, right? The 5 was a little bit janky, occasional crashes, some weird stuff happening at launch. The first major update fixed that. Same thing happened with the 5S. Gruber said basically, look, because he had, I think he said he changed his wallpaper and then the phone just crashed, which is unexpected and bad. I haven't had that happen, but I have had like the camera app just hang for a few seconds as you launch. I talked about that in the in-depth. Mm-hmm. I've had things like you unlock the phone and it just kind of freezes on the unlock screen for a couple of seconds. Mm-hmm. Stuff that you don't typically expect and that will go away in the next 3 months. Yeah. But he said he thinks that the iOS and iPhone release cycle should be separated. Like they should be divested of each other. Because right now you always get a new version of iOS a few days before the new phone comes out. Yeah. And like it seems like that maybe as the OS becomes more complex and they're adding more and more stuff to it, maybe that's not enough time to get all the stuff done. Or maybe they go to a more frequent, like twice a year update cycle or something like that.
I'd be fine with that. But I feel like Apple gets a lot of mileage out of those being in sync because people start to associate all the new features of the OS with the new phone.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And if you look at the camera, when I was testing the phones, I had to get the 5S out with iOS 8 on it and run it side by side with the new phones to figure out which was a phone feature and which was an iOS 8 feature. Right. Like all the stuff like the focus changing in video, which you couldn't do before. Mm-hmm. That's all iOS 8. The ability to take a picture while you're shooting video, that's iOS 8. Time lapse obviously is iOS 8. Yep. The HDR, simultaneous HDR and non-HDR frames, that's iOS 8.
Wait, 3-frame HDR is iOS 8?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So or at least it worked on the 5S. It may not work on older phones, but not exclusive to the 6 and the 6 Plus. And I think you're right. They do get a lot of mileage out of that stuff. And the confusion around that is probably beneficial to them. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was... I mean, I think that this is indicative of that same problem. Like this app is not as well thought through as we would have seen stuff in the iPhone 4 and 4S and maybe even 5 era. I think it's gotten more complex.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that these features didn't make it to the OS.
I think that they're launching stuff as beta in a shipping OS is really telling.
If everything had gone according to plan, we'd be fine.
Well, or if they're gonna do this, do 8.5 in March and give us 2 big updates. Do the photos update in March and do the rest of the stuff. Leave the rest as the status quo. Yeah. But I mean, this year may just be a bad year too, because we're looking at Yosemite and iOS both changing the way iCloud integrates with the OS at a real core level, and all of that stuff has to work at the same time. Yeah. So even right now, if you're not running one of the Yosemite betas and you turn on the iCloud Drive stuff, you can't access that from your laptop at all. Like that's just like maybe it's a one-off bad experience. Yeah, because of a shift in the way iCloud works.
Which leads me to think they really, truly intended to release Yosemite with iOS 8.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, it makes no sense to have one without the other.
I think that's why they did the public betas. I think that's why they did the public previews.
Maybe. Which, by the way, you can download a new one now.
Yeah, I think it's GM1. So we're at GM1.
No, GM was only for developers.
Oh, it's only for developers?
Yeah, the beta 5 or something is for consumers.
Okay, so developers released GM1 day before yesterday or earlier this week sometime.
Which means we're close to a full release.
Yeah, I think with Mavericks it went through 4 or 5 different revisions.
Of GM?
Of GM.
Oh, wow.
Maybe it was what was the last one before Mountain Lion?
Sure.
10.8. I think 10.8 had a lot. Maybe it was 10.8. Anyway, so that's out. That's a thing that happened. If you're a developer, you should download that. It's nice. All the texting and stuff works. We'll talk about that, I guess, in a minute, in what we're testing. Pebble this week. there's been a couple of big updates in the last few weeks. One added compass support.
Oh, wow.
So I have a compass in my Pebble Smart now.
How do they do that?
It has a compass in it.
And they just turned it on?
They just turned it on.
Huh.
I don't know exactly. I guess I have to go to the menu to get to it. But I can tell you which direction I'm pointing with a degree of relative precision. I got to calibrate just like everything. Spinning. I'm pretty sure that way is north. I'll tell you in just a sec for sure, though. Playing the little spinning game. Okay, there we go. Yep, right over there. That's north right there. I'm pointing just past the microphone.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Did you see their little attack on Apple?
Yeah.
It's just a phone, Johnny.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Just a watch.
That's right. It's just a watch.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing, everybody's coming out and talking about Apple Watches costing thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, who knows?
And they've made something that's really compelling for $200.
They measure their battery life in days because they can.
Yes. Well, because they have a relatively simpler... It doesn't do voice.
Dude, that is the killer point for this thing.
I
mean, the fact that you can charge that once a week...
Well, and I bet we'll see next year at CES a bunch of different case designs. Yeah. So you'll have actual variety in the shape of the watch, not just the colors, material, and band.
Yeah.
They also unveiled, so there's an accelerometer in here as well. So now there's like Jawbone. You can install the Jawbone Up app on your phone, install the Jawbone Up app on the watch, and it treats the Pebble as it would a Jawbone Up.
Oh.
It gets the same data.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So basically it's a platform for motion tracking data now, in addition to being a smarch and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And a compass. It seems like battery life's a little worse since the compass update, but I updated it again yesterday, and I don't know how they said the new update helps battery life. So maybe they made a battery life mistakes and now have fixed the battery life mistakes.
Do you see them expanding the feature set hardware wise year to year?
They've been really good about not adding hardware up until this point. Mm-hmm. Like I think the only real difference between the steel, the second release really of the watch, and the first plastic ones is that there's a little light that comes on when it's charging on the steel that there wasn't on the original one, because you couldn't always tell if it was connected to the charging dongle thing. I think that they have a platform. I would guess at some point they'll add a microphone. But I think they have a platform that they're pretty stoked with. And I think the more you can keep those platforms stable, the better they are. Because I don't want to buy a new watch every year or every other year, every fifth year. I want to buy a new watch every 5 or 10 years.
But if they keep that e-ink thing going,
e-paper, I think.
Sorry, e-paper thing going where you don't have to charge very often, that's a great feature.
Yeah.
So if they were to add things like, more of the health tracking apps or the pedometer thing, or things that might help with fitness, or even just a music player that would support Bluetooth to my Bluetooth headset. I could leave my phone and go jogging.
Yeah, but if you start adding that stuff, then you're going to lose the battery life, which is the real benefit.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, this is a real lightweight processor.
I mean, what are you talking about? You're talking about like a matter. If you cut it in half, you're still getting days of battery life.
So it seems like it's every 3 or 4. I charge it twice a week, probably.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's not like 5-6 days. It's like 3 or 4 realistically.
Okay.
But I usually charge it when it hits 20%, which means I'm not getting a fifth of my battery. Right. So I don't know. I've only had it die completely once, and that was in the Compass update before I had the fitness tracker update. So it could have been some battery problems on the software side. It's funny. I never thought I would get used to wearing a watch again.
Yeah.
And I totally am, like, when I leave the house without it, I'm like, shit, I left my watch at home. Doesn't happen very often anymore. MIT maybe found the perfect solar cell.
Thank God, because I've been waiting.
It's time.
I don't know when it's going to be time, but this article leads me to think the time is close to go solar.
So there's an article on motherboard.vice that is crazy detailed with math and all sorts of stuff. The upshot is pretty straightforward. It's a solar cell that can be made with existing technologies that allows collection of light at more oblique angles than just square on, which is what most existing cell technologies do.
So it's almost like having multiple suns.
Yeah, it's as if we're living on Tatooine.
Yes.
Yeah. Seems good.
Yes.
Seems like a good thing. And it can be manufactured with today's processes.
Great.
Speaking of Tatooine, have you seen the quad footage that's come out of the Star Wars sets?
Oh no,
Have you seen
I
any of
try
this?
to avoid all that stuff. I did see the quad footage of Occupy Central in Hong Kong.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was
A
amazing.
lot of people.
But tell me about Tatooine.
So it's not Tatooine, actually. It's in England. And they have what look like World War II era kind of grassy covered UK style bunkers, the kind that they put like aircraft in so they wouldn't get bombed by Jerry.
Oh yeah.
You know, but they have a full size mock up of the Millennium Falcon. I mean, it's not a mock up; it's the one used for the movie, presumably.
Yeah,
a full size Millennium Falcon, a bunch of X-wings, and some other spaceships, like on the grass, the coming out of these grassy bunkers in England, where they're shooting Star Wars.
And kids are throwing their drones up in the air.
People
and
are
flying over
hucking
top.
their Phantom DJI-2s,
Really
flying over stuff and being like,
nobody's trying to shoot them down or anything.
I don't think they have guns in England.
That's true.
I think they frown upon that kind of behavior there.
I don't know.
If they were shooting in Texas, it would be a completely different story. Somebody would yell a slogan from a 1984 litter campaign. Boom, the quad would come down.
I'm imagining Luke Skywalker and Han Solo splitting into the different compartments. Don't get cocky, kid. Taking out the drones.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
You should make a game. This sounds like an iPhone game.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Completely unlicensed. So that'll do it for news this week, unless you have anything else you want to hit, Jeremy.
No.
I'm going to play some music, and then let's talk about what we've been testing. Bueller?
Did you play it?
Yeah. I pressed play. Nothing's coming out. Okay, I'll restart that. Anyway, dun 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 dun. Hey, Jeremy Williams.
Hi.
What have you been testing, sir?
Oh,
anything good?
Yeah, lots of stuff. Well, I was, I really like the Elite Dangerous in the IQ.
I heard that
in the IQ.
I heard that about you,
and I was not getting frame rates that made me happy, and I could tell that this was an experience I wanted to spend some real quality time in. So I just upgraded my PC. It was 5 years old. It was time anyway.
Okay.
So I got myself one of the new Haswell E's, not the Norman Chan top of the line one, but the mid range, which is just as good.
Okay.
For me. And I got 16 gigs of RAM, some crazy motherboard, upgraded the whole thing, and it worked. I was so happy. When you build a PC, half the time it doesn't work. In my case, half the time it doesn't work. You got to figure out what the beep code is, what the little numbers flashing on the motherboard. But at my age, I can't handle that stuff. I was very relieved.
There's always a sense, like I've been building PCs since the early 90s. So
yeah,
I'm probably close to thousands, I would think. Definitely high hundreds, because we built a lot of PCs at Maximum PC.
Possibly thousands of PCs?
So I paid for college in large part by building PCs for people and businesses.
Okay.
This was back in the early days when people were like, I don't know about that company with the cow boxes. I just want a computer for my QuickBooks.
Right.
And I built a lot of early, mid 90s, say, Pentium 3, Pentium 4, probably Pentium 3s actually, Pentium 2, Pentium 3 / Intel i750 graphics, stuff like that, machines for people.
What are you telling me, that you don't make mistakes and you don't?
No.
At this point,
kind of. It's gotten a lot easier. The potential for fuck ups is much lower now, because stuff just kind of knows how to work with each other better.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like if your CPU physically fits in the socket that you're trying to put it in.
Yeah.
The motherboard will know what to do with that CPU. It's not like the old socket 7 days where you could drop something from Cirrus or something in there and Cyrus,
right,
and have a completely different microarchitecture. You have to adjust voltage and shit.
Part of what I was happy about was everything did fit, because I went with water cooling, because with these new Haswell chips, they're supposed to be pretty hot. And it was an old case. I wasn't sure it was going to fit, but it fit. I'd never done water cooling before. Now they're all completely contained. You don't have to fill reservoir.
Well, you can still do the crazy ones if you want.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
No.
So and it all worked. And I've built PCs, and then the reset button on the case itself is stuck down, and I can't figure that out for a day.
Oh, that's bad.
Stuff like that. So anyway, it worked. Booted up, and then it was freaking out. And it turns out that Windows 7 is not real happy with USB 3. So I went out to Best Buy and picked up Windows 8, as we discussed.
You didn't just go to the Windows store and download it online and get an ISO?
I thought I probably could do that.
Okay.
But I didn't, because I like having a hard copy. I can move from PC to PC with the disc.
Okay, fair enough.
Potentially even put on eBay.
Yeah.
I can't put my software copy.
I don't think you can put Windows on eBay.
So everything's absolutely amazing. I got the GTX 980. I spared no expense.
That is a pimp ass video card.
And I loaded up Elite Dangerous, and it's remarkable. I mean, it's 75 hertz in the space station. Yeah. It's everywhere I go. And then, like, the next day, they released Beta 2 of Elite Dangerous, which is really what I've been testing. I mean, have you been testing that, or have you been playing it, Jeremy? Well, you know, what's the difference? I've been testing it.
Okay, so can you, for people who haven't maybe heard about Elite Dangerous before, can you give the high-level overview of what Elite Dangerous is?
Elite Dangerous is probably the killer app, although it's expensive at this point, for the Oculus Rift DK2.
It seems like it's the closest thing to like a real AAA game that supports it so far.
There's like 3 games that support the Rift really well, and it's like Euro Truck Sim.
2.
The
Deuce, we call that one in the business.
What's that driving game? I never remember the name.
Oh, iRacing?
No.
They don't support the DK2 yet, do they?
Oh, man. I always forget.
Colin McRae Rally Grid.
It's a good one. It's Live for Speed. It's real simmy. Has remarkable force feedback. I mean, if you have a force feedback steering wheel, nothing is like this one. Anyway, but Elite Dangerous is probably the game to try if you ever try the Oculus Rift.
I played Elite Dangerous.
It's a space sim. It's like 30 years of Elite now. The first game came out in 1984, and it was it was like this amazing game that fit on a floppy disk. It was an entire universe that you could explore.
But was it procedurally generated, or was it just okay?
Yeah, and so it was wireframe, 3D. You fly around into space stations and trade and fight. It was really, really amazing. It fit in like an X amount of kilobytes.
But it was kind of It wasn't necessarily like Wing Commander was just a combat game. This was a game that you went around and explored.
Well, this is much earlier than Wing Commander.
Right.
Yeah. So Wing Commander is scripted. It was like, Wing Commander was an amazing. You got the music working.
When we thought the video was playing, I muted the speaker.
What does that mean?
I pressed mute on the keyboard.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it turned off all the sound.
I see.
So basically, I'm an idiot.
I love Wing Commander too. Wing Commander's up there with my favorite games.
Deep love. Yes. Wing Commander 3 is one of my all-time favorite games.
But Wing Commander was sort of a brute force accomplishment where they scripted every single branch of the tree. Yeah. So whether or not you lost a mission, the story would branch. If
you were able to lose a wingman. Yeah. And on down that path, then you could lose a wingman, you could not lose a wingman, and then that would branch on that, and it was crazy flowchart.
Which I actually would love to play, and I look forward to playing Chris Roberts' game. I backed it and everything, but that's not due out for another year or so.
And it seems more like Elite. Actually, it seems more like a kind of living, breathing world. I mean, there will be a single player game with that experience. Yeah. But the main Roberts Space Industries, what's it called?
I think that sounds right.
No, Star Commander.
Oh yeah,
Star. Oh God, they're gonna eat us alive in the comments.
Oh, I don't know now.
Star Citizen. Yeah, it seems like that. Like the multiplayer part of that game is more like somewhere between Elite Dangerous and Eve.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah,
but it's so early. I mean, they've released some footage and some betas, but it's really rough. Like that game, it does not look as fun to play at this point as Elite.
Well, I played like the jump in the plane and fly around the simulation thing, and it's fine. But it's not. There's not a lot of game there.
It's fine, but like if you blow up against an asteroid, it's not real remarkable. It's stuff. So anyway, Elite is it's a real space sim. I mean, it's like this simulated universe, our galaxy.
Yeah,
and it's just so. I can't tell you how remarkable it was. And then when they upgraded to Beta 2, it was like they'd made something that was beautiful even better. The graphics are just amazing. The menus are amazing.
Are they more readable in the Oculus now? Because they were a little hard to use before.
Yeah. You can now do the galaxy map, which is great. It obviously supports the motion tracking, so you can lean forward and read it.
Are you full HOTAS now?
Yeah. I got the same one that Norm had, which is the same. It's like what the joystick in the game is modeled after the
the Cytec X52. Yeah. Okay.
Pro. So anyway, I've been playing that, and I'm really bad at it. I'll go and I'll make some money, and then I'll be flying somewhere. I'll get this interdiction warning. Somebody pulls me out of warp and just blows me to hell.
Are you playing combat? Are you being a trader? Are you being a diplomat? Like, what's
at this point, I'm just trying to make enough money to buy a better ship.
Okay.
Because once you have a better ship, you can defend yourself and you can do more interesting things.
So you're in the rats killing phase of the MMO.
It's the early grind. So you go off and you try to make some money. The fast way to make money is to go to this one particular battle and you kill a bunch of enemies, and then which are all AI. And then, but it's I don't know I think the people either can now, as of this beta, pull you out of.
So you think you're getting interdicted by people who are killing you?
It's possible. Or they're AI.
That was my entire Ultima Online experience, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I would prefer like the World of Warcraft model where you can choose PvP or PvE. I would like to go to spots where I'm prepared to fight other people.
Yeah.
In any case, if it might still just be AI, and I'm learning how to avoid that kind of thing. You can either cool your ship and go invisible and you're not on their radar, or you can turn off auto control on your ship and hit your boost, and you will just go infinitely and you won't slow down. Blah blah blah. It's just an amazing experience. I mean, I'll sit in this game and even though I'll just grind for an hour and then be destroyed by an AI. I go back, and I do not do that. I mean, I have no time for that kind of thing right now.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The experience of playing this game in VR is the thing I always want.
Are you putting on the headphones? You got the HODAS.
No, I don't.
I
don't do the headphones.
Oh, you do speakers?
I just I don't know. I feel like maybe it's the family. I want to be able to hear the kids if they start screaming or something upstairs.
Yeah.
But, no, the speakers are fine.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but you gotta play beta too.
I have it. I still haven't installed my machine. I have the Oculus here for another project we're working on, but
okay,
maybe I'll drag it home this weekend and give it a try.
There's new space stations.
Because previously there was only that one space station, right?
You now spawn at this outpost, which is right next to this planet. As soon as you boot up the game and exit the spaceport, you're in space.
Can you land on planets and stuff now?
No, and that won't even be there for the final. But they are talking about doing that a year from now as part of the expansion.
Okay.
And I mean, the graphics that they've shown, the concept art for that is just as remarkable.
I want to have some. Do you remember that game in the mid '90s? That was it was like Descent, but it was kind of like a cross between X-Wing and Descent, where you could fly above the planets, and then you could also go into the planets.
Yeah, I do.
What's that game? It was Total something, or it had an adjective.
Wasn't that by 3D Realms?
It was a 3D Realms game for sure. Yeah. It wasn't very good, but it was fun.
Total Velocity.
Total Velocity, that's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't even make sense as two words that go together. Hey, Jeremy, what's your total velocity? 9x12.
So yeah, I've been testing my new PC in that game. Oh, and somebody hacked in, and by somebody I mean a developer
at the company
at Double Fine.
Ooh.
In his free time, hacked in Oculus Rift support to the Pinball Arcade app. And Pinball Arcade app.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so the Pinball Arcade is a game developed. It's basically a pinball simulator that has licensed. Oh God,
hundreds of licensed tables. It seems like now, right?
At least like 30 or 40.
Yeah,
maybe more. Maybe like 100 tables now.
It's a lot of. I keep talking. I'll look.
Big Bear. They're located down near LA in a place called Big Bear Lake, and so he just hacked into the video driver, some sort of thing where you can now play all the pinball tables in virtual reality. So you're standing in front of the game and you can now lean side to side. You can even look at the side of the table. You can see artwork that you would never normally see. And it actually adds a lot to the game. Because when you're playing pinball, to get a good feel for the trajectory of the ball, like where you're going to flip, where you're going to hit it when you flip, or where it's coming so you know how to catch it or when to nudge, you're moving your body. You are trying to ascertain where that ball is headed. So now that you can do that in VR, I mean, it's like a massive step towards actually owning these tables.
I mean, so that's one of the reasons I have the vertical monitor beside the computer, right?
Why is that?
I put the monitor in portrait for pinball.
That's
yeah, because it's like I have a gamepad here. I can that's close enough. I'm good.
Yeah.
But if you can do the goggles now, I feel like we should build a pinball arcade controller.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
To use with the goggles, you just hang on the wall.
It'd be so easy to make.
Yeah, because it's just like two buttons and another button to launch.
You'd want to integrate some tilt functionality.
Oh yeah, you got to bump
so that you can bump it.
Yeah, but that's easy.
Yeah, we could kickstart that pretty easily.
That seems like a good project. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to go download that. I didn't know that was a thing. I am super stoked about that. There's 50 tables now. It looks like. Season 4 is coming.
It's well worth your download.
They did a Kickstarter the other day for a famous table that had Addams Family or something, right?
They're still doing it.
Is it going to make it?
Yeah, I think it'll make it.
Okay, cool. That's good. Addams Family's a good table.
Yeah.
Do you? So I had played a lot of Pinball Arcade, and then when I was in Portland or Seattle, I got to play some actual tables for the first time in maybe a year or two. Mm-hmm. And do you feel like the physics in Pinball Arcade are too floaty? Like it's as if it's it almost feels better than a perfect condition table to me sometimes.
I kind of wish that the tables would deteriorate over time.
Or that would be neat.
That the physics would actually change a little bit every day randomly.
Or just get a little bit dirty. Like you had an option to set it to like, this has been in a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flippers aren't exactly equal. I think that would be cool. It definitely is. I've had the ball go to the same spot in the same table, and it always goes the same direction.
Yeah.
It always hits the same thing.
Yeah. Or like just a bad coat of wax on the playboard.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, but it's fine. I mean, I've played probably every pinball sim that's ever been released.
Oh, it's really good.
And it's good. I mean, it's really good. I mean, the back in the day, the Pro Pinball series was probably the best, but those were designed for PC. Those weren't like remade from the real world, which is what the Pinball Arcade guys are doing. Pinball Arcade is massively superior to PinMame and Virtual Pin, which is what we've had for up until now.
And the selection of tables is really good. Like it's like I'm looking at the list. I haven't paid attention to it the last few months, and like it is some hot stuff on the later packs. Like T2's in there now, and
they've pretty much nailed everything but Atoms in terms of like the A-list games.
The high points. Pinbot, I didn't know that they hit that. That was a long time ago even. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go download some tables. Are the tables expensive for this?
I buy them by the season.
Okay,
and it's not cheap.
Like $20 a season or something.
Yeah,
that seems fair. Like a season is like 10 tables. It looks like so.
It used to be more. Season 3 was half. But I keep paying them. What I wish is that there was some sort of cross-platform support so that you could play them on PlayStation. Because they look great on the consoles.
Yeah.
I just have them on the iPad and the PC.
You just have to put them on the... Rotate your TV, man.
I know.
Rotating your monitor is a good move for this game.
I will tell you that the Oculus does suffer from low res at this if you're playing pinball, because most of the stuff is like far away.
But you can lean in, right?
You can, but it's it's still. I want higher res. This is the first time I've really wanted higher res.
Well,
it's coming.
It's coming, yeah. I have been testing this guy right here. It is a sensor that dangles off of the back of your iPad Mini or iPad Air. I think iPad 4. Excuse me.
Looks like a Mini Connect or something.
It is almost exactly a Mini Connect. So it's a high-resolution IR sensor. And basically it gives you depth camera support. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I've had a little bit of a cold. It's a depth camera for your iPad. It uses the default iPad camera to do color. Kind of fill that information in.
Oh, wow.
But you can kind of swipe around, you just kind of move around somebody and it'll capture their face and generate a 3D model that you can then do whatever you do with a 3D model. The apps are on the last page if you want to mess with
it. Is this commercially available?
Yeah, it's $500.
Holy cow.
It's kind of expensive, but it's way better than the other. It's better than the turntable style 3D scanners we've used from what I've used so far. I haven't used a ton of it, mainly because their software is really good. So the neat thing, like they have apps on the tablet that you can use to capture stuff without anything else. But you can also use this piece of software that they make called Scanect Pro on a Mac or PC. Connect to it over Wi-Fi with your iPad, and basically use that to dump data into the PC, and then let the PC do the heavy lifting. So instead of having to like upload a model to the cloud or point cloud to the internet and wait for it to be processed, you can it'll do it on your laptop or a desktop with a big GPU is badass for it.
This is if you can't supply power from the iPad.
It has a battery in it, so you charge it every. I've had it for 2 or 3 days now and haven't had to charge it yet, and I've used it a ton. I was like, if you have decent lighting at all, if it's not too bright, it's unbelievable the results. Like I printed a Joey head yesterday that I forgot to bring in with me.
Oh, I saw that.
That looks like Joey. Yeah, that's what I scanned him with. Huh. He was just standing right there, and I walked around him a few times.
So you can't isolate objects from the world.
So that if you're that one's not calibrated yet, so it's the color and the depth cameras are not going to line up right. The depth images aren't going to line up right. But yeah, what you can do is you say, I want to do a bounding box that's like a half meter by half meter by half meter, and then you center it on the thing that you want to capture, and it's smart enough to know.
Got it.
Don't go outside of that box.
Oh, that's cool.
You can also capture entire rooms. Like I talked to those guys yesterday, and they have a demo where they basically stand in the middle of a 20-foot room and capture the whole room, and then dump that into Unity and use that as a level in a game. And it was a little bit janky looking. Like it was like once you got out of that center perspective, things got voxely and weird.
Yeah, like you were watching through a Kinect or something.
Kind of, yeah.
Huh.
They use it to track your position in a room. So it gives enough resolution that you get like the difference between the IR dots on the Oculus versus using an accelerator and a gyroscope. Much, much smoother motion for augmented reality stuff. Like they had a game that basically had a little animated character that kind of hopped around the world and would run away from you and you had to chase her. Yeah. And she knew to run under desks and over stuff and all that. It was pretty neat. And then they also have things that let you place furniture in your room. So if you want to see what a new couch looks like where your couch goes, you just hold it up, tap the furniture you want to drop in, you see, okay, that's what the couch looks like. And
why do I need that? I mean, why can't I just do that with a photo?
Because it lines up perfectly. Like everything, there's no...
So I can take a photo and then tell it where the lines are.
You can walk around the room and see what it looks like on different sides, see what it looks like underneath it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like the whole thing.
Huh.
It's like some of it's more useful than others. Like the obvious useful thing is getting reference material 3D scanned. And if you spend time on it, then you can... the quality is really good.
This looks like a Predator vision or something.
Yeah, so those are the 3 different cameras. It has an infrared, a depth, and then a black and white. The black and white's the infrared, and then the color is, I think, this camera right here, the iPad camera. It's like I said, I was blown away by the quality of what you get out of it because it the more you move over a surface, the better the resolution gets. Yeah. And it even did like Gina's hair. Like I captured Gina sitting in our Barca lounger.
Can you load up a model?
No, they're all in this one, I think, actually. Gina sitting on the Barca lounger and then just embedded that in a block of plastic and mesh mixer and printed that. And there's like this, it looks like she's buried in a transporter malfunction, basically. I was really pleasantly surprised.
Oh, wow. I just got a phone call notification.
On your laptop?
Yeah. First, I guess and I don't have the GM installed.
But you're running Yosemite?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that I have anything stored here. They might all be I might have emailed them to myself. I can show you after the podcast. Okay. I've been doing some home automation stuff. I talked about it a little bit last week.
Very excited.
I tested this thing called the SmartThings Hub, which is a Z-Wave Zigbee Ethernet interface for home automation stuff to talk to the network, and then they have a service that runs on the internet that lets you connect to that from anywhere. Yeah. So like I can open up my phone like any normal person, and I can open my SmartThings app and it will tell me, okay, Gina's at home. Oh, nobody's home. Gina must have gone. Oh, she's at swim lessons. So nobody's home.
How does it know that?
Our phones have a gate around the area. Oh. So when we get a block away, then it says, oh, Will's home, Gina's home. I can tell because we're all gone, it turned off all the light switches. I have motion sensors in the living room, the office, and our master bedroom. So it knows when there's people walking around. I have smart lights or switches in most of the rooms in the house now. So I put Philips Hue bulbs in the overhead lights in the bedroom and the office and on the front door, the entry, our front door stoop light. Yeah. I have...
Why did you go with those?
Because they're bulbs. They're smart bulbs, they don't require me to redo switches.
You don't care for the color stuff?
The color stuff I could take or leave. Okay. I mean, I can do the color stuff. I can make my bedroom red if I want to make it real, trashy in there. Don't have to. It's optional. Philips also makes just like warm luminance bulbs that don't do colors, that just go between like 5400K and 3200K or something, like blue and yellow. But I did those because my house has old wiring, so I don't have a neutral wire in my light switches in most of the house. And most of the Z-Wave and Zigbee stuff requires a third neutral wire in order to work. So if I wanted that stuff to work on the switches, I would have had to rewire large portions of the house. Oops, sorry. Then obviously I'm not going to do that. So the Philips bulbs, I put a bridge in. The Philips bulbs will you just leave the switch on, or I could even, I suppose, take the switch out and cap it closed so it's just always on. Mm-hmm. And then it'll turn on and off based on criteria that I set. So the thing that happened with SmartThings that makes the whole thing work. Then I also have some boxes that lamps plug into. So like dimmer boxes that go in the wall and you plug your lamps into them. Yeah. And those turn off like the lamps in the living room and my reading lamp by my bed, the lamp in the back of my office, stuff like that. And the motion sensors are like $40 motion sensors.
Where do those go?
So I put them in the corners of the rooms.
And you have them wired into your power?
No, I didn't wire them in. So they use alkaline batteries that last about a year.
Okay.
So they require changing every year. The app gives you notification well in advance. But what those three things together, plus the presence sensor and the phone do, is it gives you a way to the house knows whether you're there or not.
Yeah.
And once the house knows that you're there and which rooms you're in, then all sorts of interesting things are possible. So like I have modes, right now I have modes set in the house for away, which is when no one's home. Nighttime, which is when, home, which is during the day when somebody's there. We don't need lights on because it's bright. Nighttime, which means we need lights on in the house and people are there. I think that's it. Oh, and sleeping. So after everybody goes to bed when motion stops,
right,
then it's a different set of criteria come on. So basically, because you have the motion sensors and the presence sensors, you can set a cascading set of rules that's really easy to understand that lets you control. For example, if it's nighttime, if the house is set to night, and Gina or my phone comes into the presence circle, then it turns on the front porch light. Because presumably we'll want to have lights on when we come up to the house.
That's cool.
And then it turns it off 5 minutes after the door closes. Mm-hmm. Anytime somebody opens the door and it's nighttime or sleeping time, then the front porch light turns on. If we've been away and you open the door, the inside living room lights turn on, so the house is automatically there. It even has, I've even set it so that it has a different set of behaviors when like the cleaning lady comes. So it turns on all the lights for her because I don't have her phone programmed in.
But how does it know she's a cleaning lady?
It knows that there's motion activity in the house, but none of us are home.
Okay.
So
it would work if I did. If
somebody broke into my house,
they'd be well lit.
Well, but at least I know that somebody was there.
That's true.
Kitchen light has a switch because that was rewired a few years ago. Uh-huh. And that just is a normal wall switch that also can be controlled by Z-Wave, I think. Maybe Zigbee. It's Z-Wave actually. So Z-Wave and Zigbee are protocols for low data transmission, always on mesh networks, basically.
But the software that you've used to control all of the scheduling is called what now?
It's so the hub and the software are like universally our combined thing, and there's a bunch of different hubs available. You can buy Lowe's has these Iris hubs that GE makes, I think, that are reportedly not very good. The hard part isn't really the hardware connection between the network and the home. The hard part is the software and making it usable by normal human beings. Yeah. And that's the thing that I think the SmartThings folks have done better than anybody else that I've tested so far. Okay. They were just bought by Samsung a few months ago.
And how much does it cost?
I think it was $199 maybe it was $99 for the hub. Basically, you buy the hub and then a handful of sensors and dimmers and stuff in a kit.
Right. And then the app is free?
The app is free. The reason I like SmartThings is there's no monthly contract.
That's good.
So it's not like you're signing on for $20 a month forever to do this dumb thing. The switches, the dimmers are between $30 and $50, and depending on whether you want something that's for a low amperage circuit, like lights, or if you want something that's for like a coffee maker or an appliance, something that actually draws current. The switches are, I think, $35 for a Z-Wave and wall switch, and $50 if you want a dimmer, a three-way, or something more complex. And then the Hue stuff is really expensive for what it is. It's like $180 for a hub and a set of 3 bulbs. Yeah. But the upshot is, when I walk into the living room at 3 o'clock in the morning to see what raccoons are doing in my backyard, the lights behind the couch come up to like 20%. It's like a night light. And then when I walk out of the room, 2 minutes later, they turn off, go back to sleep. If the house notices that no one has been walking around for 20 minutes and it's nighttime after 11 o'clock, it just turns everything off, switches the house to sleeping mode. Like, it all happens without having to think about it now.
How long before you start talking to Jarvis? That's amazing.
So you can do that stuff too. Like, you could hook it up to, if you have a Sonos system, you can hook it to your Sonos system so that when it detects motion in your bedroom in the morning and you get up out of bed, it'll come on and say, "Good morning, Will. The weather is blah, blah, blah. Today's news is this and this." I haven't turned on any of that stuff. That seems crazy. And it works with Harmony now too. I haven't gotten to test that yet because I'm waiting on a software update still. But presumably I'll be able to turn on my TV with SmartThings actions when that stuff turns on, when the apps are updated.
It has like an IR blaster or something?
Yeah, so the Harmony hubs, those have IR blasters, and you can use them for, like, they can connect to smart things and other home automation stuff now. It doesn't work yet.
But do you have it?
Harmony hub, yeah.
Okay. I just have the old remote, but you have the one that works through the iPhone?
I have the one that works through the iPhone.
Yeah.
And with that now, you can control the Nest thermostat and the Hue bulbs, but presumably I'll be able to control all of the stuff.
Yeah.
So then I have a physical interface that I can put a couple of those remotes in the house, and and you just click it's like Luke Skywalker's robot clicker.
What's next, man? Guns?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Why not? Turrets at the front door?
Absolutely.
No solicitors. I said no solicitors. It's kind of dumb, right?
No, you are doing exactly what I've always wanted to do. I've just been waiting it out, just like everything else, it seems. But
I waited and waited, and finally somebody was like, "Hey, you should look at this. It actually works now," and it actually works now.
I'm happy.
The motion sensor. Oh, the other thing is that there's a company called Aeon Labs that makes a combination motion, humidity, luminance sensor. So you use that in rooms that you want to change status based on whether there are lights on or not. Okay. Or like in my living. So presumably at the end of all of this, I could hook up motorized window shades in my living room that when I put the TV using the Harmony into a mode that I want to watch a movie, it just moves the shades down and dims the lights.
Yeah.
I could do. That's a thing that theoretically I could do now because I have a luminance sensor in that room and it knows, oh yeah, there's a lot of sun coming in right now. We should probably let's cut it down a little bit, which is fucking crazy.
It's neat.
Yeah, I don't know if it's useful. It's also like I don't know that I would retrofit a house if I wasn't experimenting for story purposes.
I don't know. I mean, you've been a computer geek your whole life, like me, and it's fun to finally bring some of that into the real physical world.
That's true, and like so. In the beginning, when I first tested this thing and the lights would turn on and off for no reason, Gina was like, no, you got to stop. This is scary, right? I don't like this. But now that the rules are established and it behaves in a way that's predictable and understandable, and like when I get the baby out of the bath and we go into the bedroom to get her ready for bed and put her pajamas and diapers and stuff on, like the lights turn on automatically.
Yeah.
And when I leave 2 minutes later, they turn back off. And that's awesome. Like it means that I don't have to.
When you're holding a child, that's
I'm not wet
absolutely good.
And reaching out for an electric switch, which always seems like a bad idea while holding a child, and like that kind of stuff is. I'm going to be really interested to see the last piece I'm waiting on before we do the video is to see what my power consumption is like in the house last month versus this month, because it all like at the end of October basically.
I guess the fear factor is it is one step closer to a Wall-E style existence.
Well, I don't have the chair yet. Nobody makes that.
Yet.
All the rest of it you can do.
It's only 2014.
Yeah. I want the frosted window glass that you hit the button and it just makes it dark.
Yeah.
Like without blinds. I want that stuff. That's the next step for me. So yeah, that's home automation stuff. You want to talk about your new PC build? We already kind of covered it a little bit.
I already covered it. I mean, it's really kind of basic stuff.
Have you played like Mordor or any of the real hoggy games?
No. Is it a hoggy game?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's a big dog.
No. I mean, the problem is...
It's a wonderful game. Everybody should play it's Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, right?
Yes.
Is the official name.
It's gotten great reviews.
It is.
It's really good.
If you don't like Lord of the Rings stuff, it is still an awesome game. Like that's the highest praise I think I can give. It has some really awesome mechanical stuff in there.
Just judging from the trailers, the thing that I'm upset about is it's so gruesome. I mean, it is beheadings everywhere.
Yeah.
That is not the kind of game I can play with my 7-year-old son.
No, you should not play it with a 7-year-old.
Responsibly, especially one we're trying to temper his physical engagement with others on the playground right now. So...
No, you shouldn't even. He should be in bed when you play this game.
There's going to be listeners of yours that think I'm a bad dad for that reason. They think kids should play anything.
No. I think, look, this is. So there's a time and a place to introduce a kid to this. An 8-year-old is too young to be able to separate, I think.
Yeah.
The violence in game from violence in the real world. And you don't want your kid to go out on the playground and behead some other kid.
No.
That's the kind of thing that sticks on your permanent record.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So no, I look forward to playing that. I didn't realize it was System Hog. That's good. I don't think anything takes advantage of these new cards.
Well, does your card have 6 gigs of memory?
Don't know.
Because there's an ultra texture pack for this game that only works on cards with 6 gigs of video memory.
Yeah. I remember Stapleton tweeted about that. He said nothing supported it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah. It's really good. There's a really neat thing where you have to basically manipulate the orcs and the Uruk-hai in Sauron's army. So you have to like.
Oh, really?
You have to like kill the ones that you want out of the way and like help the ones that you don't want out of the way so that they get in positions of power, and then you can take control. Like there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do.
It's Batman style combat, which is hand to hand, just a ton of fun.
It's a little bit more forgiving than Batman even.
But the thing that I'm interested in is when you lose a battle, apparently that bad guy who kills you goes and gets he gets a rank increase.
He becomes a captain and he becomes part of the people that you have to manipulate.
And then when you meet him again, he refers to that old battle. He's harder to beat.
So you can I've even had a couple of instances where I thought I killed someone. Like I stabbed them and thought that they were mortally wounded. Mm-hmm. Like the game behaves as though they are mortally wounded.
Yeah.
And then 3 battles later, they come back and like their heads, their eyes all fucked up, or they're wearing some weird head armor where you like
because you heard
lopped off the top of their skull. And they're like, man, you really fucked me up last time, but I'm coming for you now.
That's funny.
Or sometimes they're cowards and they're like, well, I don't know if it's a good idea to fight you again, but here we are. And then they run it the first time you really hit them.
Yeah.
Like it's a thing that I've never seen before outside of like, it kind of reminds me of games like Crusader Kings, where there's like these repercussions over long periods of time and across multiple battles. Yeah. It's really good.
And as we talked about before the show, Monolith developed it. I didn't even realize they were still around. They're one of my favorite developers.
Old school.
Loved Monolith. They did
Shogo Blood 2.
No One Lives Forever.
Oh, that's such a good game.
Tron
Legacy.
No, Tron 2.0.
Oh, Tron 2.0. That was a good game too.
Yeah, back in the day. Those guys know what they're doing.
No One Lives Forever. If you've never played No One Lives Forever, No One Lives Forever 2, I hope that those games are on Good Old Games.
Yeah.
Or someplace you can get them because they are awesome.
They're great. I
wonder if they hold up.
You could probably count the games I've watched the end credits to on both hands. That's one of them.
Did you? We played Shogo at the end of the whiskey days, which I remembered very, very fondly. Mm-hmm. That game does not hold up.
I had never played it.
It was a like I want to say kind of anime inspired giant robot game. Like you played a giant robot that controlled like a normal person, like ran like a person, but you could go between human mode in buildings and giant robot mode. So you would like run through a door, get in your Shogo, the giant robot.
Yep.
And then you'd come out and all the little people would be like 3 pixels high and you'd stomp them and stuff. It was great in 1998.
Why doesn't it hold up?
It looks a little rough now.
Yeah.
It's from the Blood 2 era. It's like if you think about like PlayStation 1 era games, Saturn era games where there were like everything was 3D, but we didn't have any kind of poly count.
Yep.
And the only people that were making good low poly art at that point were like first person shooter developers and Nintendo. Mm-hmm. It was a little thin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you.
So I think that's it then for us on news. Do you want to take a couple questions and call it a show?
I love questions.
You love questions. We love questions too. Here's the question intro, which will work now because I turned the volume on.
Emails? Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
We don't do emails. We do
emails.
No. Questions. Boom.
Our first question is from Zadion. By the way, if you have a question, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Send your questions in and we will answer them. The first question is from Zadion. He says, I watched your podcast before school today, and when you said there might be a better iPhone 6 case from a third-party company, I thought I should send you one. I bought from these guys. Okay, never mind. I didn't screen this question. That was a mistake. He likes Switch Easy cases. That's the answer. Here's a question about Apple TV from Kev or Sean. Have you ever done that? Do you have email addresses that have one name in the account and another name in the signature?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Is that always a kid? I assume it's somebody's kid using their mom's account.
It's weird.
Yeah. I have a question about media streamers. I'm thinking about buying an Apple TV for my parents. It seems like a no-brainer for them. They're an Apple household with iPhones and an iPad, and being able to AirPlay photos or videos of the grandkids is a main selling point. But that's pretty much it. Here in the UK, there's Netflix and not much else on Apple TV. So when I went to look at the Chromecast for less than half the price, I second-guessed myself. Here in the UK, the Apple TV proposition is pretty weak. Only Netflix and YouTube as relevant apps. I look at the Fire TV, which includes those two plus Amazon Instant, and the Chromecast also includes Google Play, Blinkbox, and iPlayer, and of course, there's Roku too. From your experience, what would you suggest is the best option? I need to configure interface and ease of use as I don't want to be full-time tech support. Thanks for the good work and keep on making, Sean. So, it's a tough question because, like, if you have the iPhone and the iPad, then most of the stuff that you can play on the iPhone or iPad, you can AirPlay over to an Apple TV.
Yep.
Like, including stuff like HBO Go and Amazon Instant Video.
It works better now too with the peer-to-peer. It avoids the Wi-Fi access point.
Yeah, so it just connects directly. You don't even have to have both devices on the same network.
And I don't know. I actually have a lot of movies on iTunes Movies.
So that's the only way to watch them, pretty much.
Right. And and I buy them, so they're there. So yeah, I understand that there's not a whole lot of options on the free stuff though.
So what I would do is talk to them. The other thing about the Chromecast, you haven't used the Chromecast, I assume, right?
Nope.
Okay, so the Chromecast works in a limited number of applications. It's mostly server-to-server stuff. So like if you have a Plex server set up, it's easy to watch your pictures at home from the Plex app on the Chromecast. But it's hard otherwise. Like there's not, to the best of my knowledge, I haven't found one yet. There's not a good like photo viewing app that accesses your camera roll and all your iCloud stuff that you can stream photos to the Chromecast easily. So if that's the thing that you're serious about them wanting people to do, I think probably the Apple TV is your best bet. The other thing you can do with the iPad is basically just mirror the iPad on the screen. So I use the Apple TV to do FaceTime calls where I put my parents on the TV and that way my daughter just watches the TV to see grandma and grandpa. And that works shockingly well.
Yeah. How do you watch any videos that you have on your computer on your Apple TV?
I have a Plex server set up
but through Apple TV. You don't use Apple TV?
I don't
you don't do that.
No, I don't do that. I'm an outlier though. I have like 15 different things hooked up to my TV at any given time. The Plex server is a good way to do that, but like if it's for your parents, you're not going to want to set that up. That'll be a pain in the ass. I think the best way to do it is probably to do the Apple TV and teach them how to use AirPlay. Like my parents manage that really easily. I don't know about yours. But they pretty consistently do that, and they can even do that when they're not at their house. Like they have AirPlayed to other people's Apple TVs, which I was pretty impressed by.
Nice.
So it's not just about the apps that are on the device. You can also use the apps that are off the device. The Roku is also a perfectly good option, but there's no good, here's a way to get stuff on the iPad onto the Roku path, same as with the Chromecast.
I use this app called Air Video HD.
Okay.
Which will take any file that's on your computer and transcode it in real time and send it to the app on the phone.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's no Apple TV app yet for it, so you then have to AirPlay it from your phone to your Apple TV.
But you can also get apps for your Windows PC. This all seems like stuff that you and I would do that's maybe not great for parents.
No, definitely.
You can also get apps that'll let you AirPlay from a Mac or PC to an Apple TV.
Yes, that's true, Jim.
They're a little janky. We had a lot of questions about Windows 10 naming, which I feel like we've already covered pretty well. This is a note from Alexander. He says, "Hey guys, I thought you should know that pools were already removed in The Sims 3. What they did when they removed the what they did was they removed the requirement to use a ladder to get out of the pool. So pools were gone for a long time. We talked about pools and their lack thereof when Veronica was on a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah. Her sim died of humiliation.
I can't believe I didn't know you could die of humiliation.
Mine died screwing in a light bulb.
Really? Have you played Sims 4?
No. This was Sims 1.
Oh, yeah.
I never went back after that experience.
So you were at Future the same time I was when Sims 1 came out.
Yeah.
There was kind of a Sims craze in the office for, let's say, a few months.
Yes.
Like I was in February and then back in April. And people were still playing The Sims 1 pretty much all the time.
Will Wright, right? Didn't he do that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a Will Wright joint.
Yeah, I mean, people love that guy. People were excited before it came out and after it came out.
But it became, like, that was the forefront of the emergent stuff. Like, that was the first thing that people were like,
that's true.
Here, we're just giving you rules.
It's a dollhouse.
You can do whatever you want. Stuff will happen. We don't know. Maybe there'll be a clown. Who knows? You might fall in love.
Maybe there might be a clown.
You can wall in people. You get all medieval on that shit. People were making Pulp Fiction replicas in Sims in our office. I remember. It was a weird time for video games. I think this is it. I think that's it for today.
There's no more good
I
questions.
mean, there are some in here, I'm sure.
All right.
I did not screen them in advance because I forgot to before we started. And we have a lot of camera questions, which I'm not going to tackle without Norm here. Here we go. Here's a good one. Jacob says, hey guys, I'm a 24-year-old recent university graduate, born and raised in Canada. However, I'll be moving to the USA to Portland for my first real job. I'm excited about this opportunity, but it wasn't until I started taking stock of my digital library and various other accounts that I realized how locked up all my stuff is in Canada. For more than a decade, I've been accumulating digital content tied to Canadian accounts, and now that I'm moving, I'm finding that almost no services will allow me to transfer my account over from Canada to the USA. While I know that the reason behind having different storefronts for purchasable items is due to copyright and tax issues, why can't non-monetary services transfer over?
That's got to be frustrating.
Do you think companies will ever be more flexible with how they handle these types of accounts, or are we doomed forever to having our account locked to the country they were created in? I think, so that's tough, right?
One world.
Yeah, I think it's probably such a low percentage that it's not going to see the kind of attention that the issue needs. One thing you can easily do is set up a proxy service. So get a friend to set up a proxy for you on their DDWRT router or something like that, so you can keep using that stuff. But then the performance is going to be bad. You're going to hit your friend's bandwidth. You're going to hit their bandwidth.
I'd say you are justified to pirate all of that stuff at this point.
Jeremy Williams, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the other thing is a lot of stuff that is tied to those services is probably not DRM'd anymore if you're talking about music. Like if you bought stuff from iTunes Canada, in iTunes US, all of your music is not DRM'd anymore. So you should be able to just download it, go to the US, create a new iTunes Match account, hook that up, and it'll all just be there again. Same thing for Amazon Music has always been no DRM in the US, at least. I don't know what else you would buy. This is why I don't buy online videos. This is why I buy discs, because the disc I can always take a player that will work.
You were telling me I should have bought Windows Online. That's exactly it.
Well, that's different. You're buying a file and a code.
Yeah.
That code is irreversibly attached to you now. You can't disconnect from that.
Well, that's true.
It's your code forever and ever.
I'm with you.
Don't buy digital stuff.
No.
Steam. What if does your Steam library not transfer if you move countries? Oh, that would be so bad. That'd be really sad. Xbox, PlayStation, all that stuff. Oh.
Yeah.
Buy discs, guys. Discs are the future. If you have a question, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Jeremy Williams, I heard you had some exciting news on the game frame front last week that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I shipped the last one. Well, I've shipped a few more since, but the major last shipment was last Tuesday. So all Kickstarter backers have received or should now be receiving their game frame.
That's awesome.
And all post-Kickstarter pre-orders have been shipped. Bam.
High five.
So that was a good experience.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that was what, like 6 months?
February to October.
March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October 1. 8 months. It's a good part of a year.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Are you feeling a sense of profound relief?
It is a huge sense of relief. I mean, I get nervous about people going to break in and steal the game frames, when they were being made, or that they would steal equipment or something like that. So now at least everything's gone.
Well, if you hadn't been assembling them in that crack den, you probably wouldn't have had that much of a concern.
I get concerned about anything. I could have made more money just by working a desk job. So
yes.
There's that.
Well, you learned, it was a learning experience.
I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. I learned quite a lot about a great number of things. And I'm happy to be able to fulfill a Kickstarter in a timely fashion.
You were a little bit behind on some stuff and a little bit ahead for some other. And
nobody gave me any grief.
Well,
it's a good group of people.
I feel like how many you ended up selling? What, 1,000-ish?
750.
I mean, that's a small enough group of people that I assume that they would be in it, and you're not like, it's not like the Pebble where they had everybody buying Pebbles and people were like, well, where the fuck's my watch 3 months later?
Yeah.
Like the people who are into that understand that you're building something and that you built some padding in, but maybe some stuff didn't hit and some stuff did and all that. Any takeaways on the whole experience? You want to put a bow on the whole thing here on the podcast? Do
software. Don't do hardware.
That's what all the hardware people tell us.
Yeah.
Hardware is hard, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that'll do it for us this week then, sir. Thanks for coming by.
My pleasure.
Jeremy Williams at Jareware on Twitter.
At Jareware.
Gamefra.me.
Yeah.
If you want to find out more, order. There's still some game frames left if people want to get one, right?
Not really.
Oh, no.
I mean, there's a wait list. I'm going to be making another, I want to say 100 based on the parts that I have.
Okay.
And they'll be up on the site before the holidays.
Okay. Tickets are still on sale for our live show on October 25th. It's a couple weeks away, 4 weeks away. If you want to get them, you can go to testedlive.com. And get full details. All the VIP, all the premium seats are sold out. We have orchestra seats. We have balcony seats left. So if you want to come to San Francisco and see the live show, buy your tickets now. Jeremy, you're going to be there. You're going to talk about Game Frame.
It's going to be a great opportunity. It's such a beautiful theater.
We're at the historic Castro Theater. It's one of the old movie. It's one of the great old movie theaters of the country, and it's a lovely, wonderful facility. We have a talking room. Scheduled that. I don't know if Norm's released that. Roman Mars from 99% Invisible is going to come do a short version of one of his episodes of his podcast. But if you're not able to make it to San Francisco, don't worry. We're going to put all that stuff on the site a couple weeks after, over the, cool. I would assume, a period of 2 weeks. It's a week of Tested live on stage. There are still tickets available at testedlive.com.
I believe it's just 3 weeks away.
3 weeks away, yeah. God, you're a monster. We'll see you guys next week. Martian spoiler cast on Tuesday. See you guys later. Bye. Oh, today's outro comes to you from Ad Hoc.
Hi there, I didn't see you.
Tested.
BlackBerry announced a new phone, Passport.
We're cool. What?
See you guys next time.
Oh yeah, BlackBerry had a new phone.
Poor BlackBerry.
Poor BlackBerry.